Shalom. First thing and foremost, I'm going to give all praises and glory and honor is due to Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai Ba'Shem Kakodash. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone and rule well. Peace and blessings and salutations to the whole select. News in the gospel, broad lifting up the standard of Yahweh Ba'Shem Yahweh Shai, wherever it may be. This is another lesson through the Spirit. It says, boots on the ground, coming soon for you citizens of Babylon in 19 states. Trump dispatching the military to 19 states across America. We know that he's done it in L.A. when he sent the National Guard out there during the time of those protests. Now, Washington, D.C., and next Chicago was on the list. And what I speculate through the Spirit is that he's getting the troops in place because something bigger is happening. All right, this whole thing, the crackdown on crime, that's just a ploy. All right, people say, well, he's trying to hide the Epstein files and this and that. Epstein, that's light work. They have something bigger coming down the pipe because for the simple fact, they're getting ready to collapse the system. Banks are getting ready to go offline. They're getting ready to switch over to everything digital. So in the process of that, people are going to lose a lot of financial wealth, a lot of revenue, homes, investments. And the quote is, when people ain't got nothing to lose, they lose it. So you have to have the troops in place in order to foil some type of chaos, because eventually there will be civil war on the streets of America. And I believe this is why he has the troops that's dispatching to these cities. Yeah, he's saying that crime is at an all-time high, but according to the statistics, crime has been an all-time, I think, like over a 30-year span, crime has dropped dramatically. Even though I kind of disagree with it, because during the time of the pandemic, that was some of the highest times when crime was committed due to people being uncertain about having a job. Rent's going up, people getting evicted, blase. You know what I'm saying? So I beg to differ on that. They say crime is at an all-time low. I doubt it. I feel like crime is a lot more notable now because, the economy is collapsing. People being laid off every freaking day. So with that being said, he's using that as an excuse to dispatch troops into these cities, which is really a war on you Jakes, man. All right, you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, the biblical Israelites. There's a war out on us. All right, and this is what the scriptures say. So I got a video here, and I'm gonna play it. I'm gonna play it through, and I'm gonna get a couple of precepts. And we'll end it not feeling too well, man. Satan is a bitch. I'll just tell you that. I got something very important going on at the end of the week, and all of a sudden I come down with this virus or whatever the hell it is. It's been laying dormant. It's been, you got what they call an incubation period. When before symptoms come up, I start feeling like a pinch in my throat last Monday, and all of a sudden, because this week is a very important week, and all of a sudden now the shit comes in. That's how Satan works, though, but it's all good. But anyway, I'm gonna play this video, get a couple of precepts, and that'll be that. So here we go.
Pentagon officials are confirming to Fox News 1,700 National Guard troops are set to mobilize in 19 states in the coming weeks as the president continues his crackdown on crime and illegal immigration. Let's go to Lucas Tomlinson. He's live at the White House for us. Lucas.
Good afternoon, John. And the Pentagon says those National Guard troops will be helping process and help deport illegal aliens. And here in the nation's capital, there's over 2,000 National Guardsmen patrolling the streets. And one Republican congressman says this city, the nation's capital, needs cleaning up.
Even with D.C. booking the books.
Over 2,000 National Guardsmen patrolling the streets, and one Republican congressman says this city, the nation's capital, needs cleaning up.
He's a devil right here. You can tell he's a complete sociopath. He's a psychopath. These people ain't right, man, all right? Like we always say, never trust the pale-faced male, no beard, and with the phallic symbol on his neck. All right, never trust a smooth face in a suit and a tie. All right, these people out there, goddamn, these people are fucking crazy. These Edomites, and trust me, they with putting down you Jakes. In many ways, you know what? In many ways, you can't even be mad. You know, like honestly speaking, I'm not against them sending their troops to Chicago, because you Jakes need to be put down. All right, I just my humble opinion. You Jakes need to be put down because you are a bunch of wild animals, man. I mean, it's to the point you can't go nowhere without a Jake committing some type of crime or, you know, and I get it. You know, Esau is a problem internationally. Jake is a problem domestically. You know, everywhere you go, Jake's fighting each other, shooting and killing one another, robbing each other, shooting up parties, kids getting shot, breaking in your homes, they stealing your shit. I mean, you Jakes need to be put down, man. So I'm not really against them sending their troops to Chicago. There's going to come a time that the Most High is going to allow these devils to just open up on you and your children. And that's when shit going to get real. Right now, you're just in an occupancy. They're deploying troops to different parts of these cities to have them in place for when something bigger goes down, and they're going to already be in place.
Even with D.C., look at the books on their crime statistics. You're 3.5 times more likely to be killed in D.C. than you were in 2012 when a serious crime is committed. And from 2018 to 2023, carjackings are up 550%. So things are out of control.
And President Trump says he might deploy the National Guard to other big cities pretty soon.
We're going to make our cities very, very safe. Chicago's a mess. You have an incompetent mayor, grossly incompetent. And we'll straighten that one out probably next. So I think Chicago will be our next, and then we'll help with New York.
Now, last year, John, the murder rate here in D.C. was on par with Chicago and nearly 4 times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 6 times higher than where you are in New York.
Donald Trump just ordered the National Guard to 19 states, and the left is obviously losing their mind. Here's what's actually going on. The Trump administration
Times higher than Los Angeles and nearly 6 times higher than where you are in New York.
Donald Trump just ordered the National Guard to 19 states.
And I don't know why these states in particular, because when you look at, I mean, I get Texas, but when you look at Iowa and Nebraska, okay, you look at South Dakota, Wyoming, Utah, New Mexico, you know, you're like, wait a minute, man, Idaho, like, why you deploying troops there? Like, what really goes down in Idaho? You don't really hear nothing about it. When you think of Idaho, you think about potatoes and farms, you know. And I'm sure it's Jake's in Idaho, but these are states that don't really be talked about like that. Like, why would you deploy them to Idaho? What's going on with that? You know, and usually the red states, they don't really have too much of an issue because the red states are more like patriotic states. You know, they understand their constitution. They believe in being patriotic. So there's going to be a war against the citizens and the troops. And eventually there's going to be just a civil war, a civil division among troops, because eventually they're going to have to ship the U.S. military out and replace them with the foreign military. So we just have to see how this all plays out. But let me get a precept real quick. This is the book of 2 Ezra 15, and I'm going to start at verses 14. Woe to the world and them that dwell therein, all right? For the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. One people should stand up to fight against another with swords in their hand. Yep, civil war, right? And now you're seeing that on a small scale because, like I said, you go to Chicago, Jake's is losing it, man. People losing their jobs. Found out Harold's Chicken filing for bankruptcy. Where they do that at? What kind of religion is that? Harold's filing for bankruptcy? And I'm sure they've done it before because, I mean, Harold's been around for like 50 years or so. But, yeah, people are losing their minds. They're losing their jobs. People are going into foreclosure. The tech sector is really booming and people are getting laid off. They mentioned by 2027 that the tech or AI would have replaced about 90% of corporate jobs. Okay? But it says here, for there should be sedition among men and invading one another. They should not regard their kings nor princes, in the course of their actions shall stand in their power. All right? So people are going to start taking to the streets and having their will with one another and the cops. People going to go head up with the military too. All right?
And the left is obviously losing their mind. Here's what's actually going on. The Trump administration is mobilizing 1,700 National Guards across 19 states. We're talking Alabama, Florida, Texas, Ohio, Virginia, all the way to Nevada and Wyoming. But before you picture troops storming neighborhoods, the thing is these National Guards aren't being sent for frontline cops. Their official mission is to support the Department of Homeland Security. Think case files, logistics, transport, and clerical tasks. Basically behind the scenes work that help ICE and DHS speed up immigration and crime crackdown. This crackdown starts off in August and runs through mid-November. It's pretty much Trump doubling down on his law and order promise. Not just in DC, but spreading nationwide. Now this is where it gets controversial. National Guard troops usually answer to governors, but in this case, a lot of them are being shifted into federal authority. That's what critics are calling a constitutional gray zone. California is already suing Trump in Newsom versus Trump, saying that he violated the 10th Amendment and even the Posse Comitatus Act, which is supposed to stop the military from acting like the police. At the same time, in D.C., over 2,000 Guard troops are already on the ground. And for the first time, they were authorized to carry their service weapons while patrolling. That's why you're seeing headlines about D.C. feeling safer, but also why civil liberty groups are saying that this could be the new normal. Now, is Trump restoring order to America, or is this a federal overreach?
It's on. It's game time. It's happening. Trump's next major step in his full authoritarian rule takeover. It's going to happen. It's in process now. He is going to activate National Guard in 19 other states, mostly red states, but some blue. And I'll go over the full list here in a second. But he is doing this, and they are going to serve under Title 32, Section 502F authority, which will allow them to work in a police enforcement, law enforcement capacity. So essentially, he's turning our National Guard into a law enforcement entity, his own personal police force. He's also threatening to send the regular military into Chicago and also New York after that. And he is not fucking around with this. We know he'll do it. He's done it in Los Angeles, and he's doing it in Washington, D.C. right now. And his reasoning for doing all this is to combat crime. There's like a pandemic of crime, and it's out of control, and he's going to make our cities safe. Now, they haven't said what cities they're going to go to yet, but here is the list of states. Alabama, Arkansas, Florida, Georgia, Idaho, Indiana, Iowa, Louisiana, Nebraska, Nevada, New Mexico, Ohio, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Virginia, and Wyoming. If you're in one of those states, buckle up. The Trump authoritarian train is coming in. They're saying Texas will have the most National Guard activated, but they're also going to use the Guard to enforce immigration and assist with ICE. Now, the Virginia National Guard has said they are going to activate 60 soldiers to assist with logistics and administrative support to immigration and customs enforcement. Now, the Virginia National Guard, contrary to what Trump is saying, says they will not conduct law enforcement operations and will not be making any arrests. Their plan is to mobilize up to 1,700 National Guard across these 19 states. So guys, this is the next small step to a much bigger plan.
Americans in 19 states will soon see National Guard troops aiding ICE with immigration enforcement. That's according to a Pentagon official. And in a rare moment here at the White House on Saturday, we got the chance to speak with Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, who is one of Trump's top immigration officials and is read in on operations like this one that is soon going to take place. He provided us with these details.
Something the ICE agent has to do. If it doesn't require immigration authority to make an arrest, they can do things like transportation, infrastructure, intelligence, and support mechanism, and that's what they're going to do. And that puts more ICE officers badging guns on the street because they're going to do the duties that don't require that badging gun and immigration authority. So they're a force multiplier. It helps us arrest a bad guy quicker, and it makes it more efficient.
So this operation of 1,700 National Guard troops in 19 states across the country, it could go all the way into mid-November and potentially even further than that, or it could be shorter. It's all up to the...
Yeah, and like dude said, it's part of a bigger problem. Like I said, they got to have the troops in place because something big is coming down the pipe. Crime ain't been going. I mean, like I said, crime is up. That's my opinion. But even then, I mean, that's just a merit to put troops on the streets. Like, that's against the Constitution because I looked up. Posse Comitatus Act of 1878 is a federal law that generally prohibits the use of Army and Air Force for domestic law enforcement. He said he made over so many arrests out there in D.C. You see, because he federalized the police. You see what I'm saying? So they are going to be doing a job of the police. And he mentioned with immigration detention, he's giving them armed weapons. They're armed on the streets now, you know. So, hey, they're going to be grabbing a lot of you jakes up and putting you in these internment camps and processing you in there. And in order for you to get out of there, you're going to need a chip. Because don't get it twisted. They're getting ready to push the mark of the beast heavy. All right? Once this system collapses and goes offline and a new one comes up, predicated to, in order for you to operate in a new system, once this old system goes down, you're going to have a chip. This is why everything is going in real time. Real ID, the banks, everything is being part of one infrastructure. So they're using the troops to round up you jakes. Yeah, that's not by coincidence. It says Army and Armed Force for domestic law enforcement, preventing them from acting as posse comitatus, a group to enforce the law. So he's in violation of this, which shows you that the Constitution is nothing but a piece of paper. It says the act was created to ensure that federal military forces will not be used as a national police force. Key aspects include an exception authorized by the Constitution or an act of Congress such as the Insurrection Act, and specific provisions for counter-drug operations and emergency response to weapons of mass destruction. It says the act does not apply to the Navy, Marine Corps, or the Coast Guard, which have some law enforcement responsibilities, all right? Purpose to prevent a military overreach. It says the core purpose of the Posse Comitatus Act is to limit the military's role in enforcing civilian law and maintain a clear separation between the military and the civilian law enforcement. Now, even in the Constitution, they tell you that if you have a tyrannical government like this, you have the right to take arms up against it and overthrow it. And eventually that's what we're going to see, because people realize that Trump is operating outside of the legality of the law, sending troops to these cities. And like I said, we're not against it. It is what it is, you know. But yeah, man, this is gonna be the new norm. So them troop bill, that's gonna be a norm. All right, when you see the troops on the streets, they're not gonna take them on. Seeing troops on the streets is gonna be a normal thing. Okay, they have to desensitize you to it, because when you see it and they're acting peaceably, then you won't think nothing about it. It ain't like they're gonna be on the streets for the first week and busting in doors and holding people at gunpoint. Nah, that's not the case. That ain't gonna be the case, you know, on the initial build up. They had to put them there to give you people a presence so you can accept it and be like, okay, well, it's not a threat. Crime is bad. See, that's the sorcery of it. Crime, crime, crime. Jake ain't doing shit no different than they did 30 years ago, man. You know? But they throw that crime, 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 crime. Nigga, 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 nigga. Keisha, Keisha. And to the point, they'll stage certain things. So seeing troops on the street will be a normal thing, to the point the average person won't even question it. You know? But it says here, for that should be the sedition among men and invading one another, they should not regard their kings nor princes, and the course of that act shall stand in that power. It says a man should desire to go into the city. It should not be able. It says a man should desire to go into a city and should not be able because of the martial law. It says for their pride, the city should be troubled and the houses should be destroyed and men should be afraid. And a man should have no pity upon his neighbor, but should destroy their houses with the sword and spoil their goods because of the lack of bread and for great tribulation. So that's the time we coming into. They're going to have the troops already in place, because when the famine comes, the collapse comes, there will already be a plot to coil unrest. But people was not going to regard them, so they're going to be like, you know what, fuck that. We don't give a damn who's on the streets, man. And also, this is a way of declaring war on the chosen, too. Because Pete, this is the book of Daniel 7, and I'm going to start at verses 20. And it says, and the 10 horns that were in his head, and the one which came up before whom 3 fell, even of that horn that had eyes and a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellow, right? Because those 3 horns goes into the British goes into the Spanish and the French. All right. And this other one, it says here, of that horn, which is America, have a mouth that spake very great things, whose look was more stout than his fellows. And I beheld the same horn made war with the saints and prevailed against them. All right. And he's making war with us. This is why you're seeing the build up. This is why you're seeing him coming up with certain justification to lock you jakes up. It says, until the Ancient of Days came, and judgment was given to the saints of the Most High, and the time came that the saints possessed the kingdom. Okay? So we're in the time now that we finna get the kingdom. We just have to go through this build-up of Jacob's trouble and overcome it before we get in our kingdom. But we pretty much home free, man. Okay, once the chip comes and we resist. Another precept, and I end it here. I'm not going to be too long. Like I said, I'm not feeling the best. I mean, I'm not feeling horrible, but I'm not feeling the best either. That fucking headache, sinus, allergies. Revelation 12:12. Therefore rejoice, ye heavens, and ye that dwell in them. Woe unto the inhabitants of the earth and of the sea, for the devils come down you having great wrath, because he knoweth he have but a short time. All right, and this is part of his wrath, okay? King David said, the flood of ungodly men made me afraid. You know? So, yeah, the scriptures go into when you see the troops surround Jerusalem, the army surrounding Jerusalem, this is part of it, all right? Because when you go to the book of Luke, 21st chapter, 20th verse, it says that when you should see Jerusalem compassed with armies, then know that the desolation thereof is nigh, right? The troops, Jerusalem, armies, the military, and they going into the cities that represents this. It says, and let them which are in Judea flee to the mountains. Hey, you got Edomites stating, like, if you a Jake, you need to leave the country. You need to travel, get out of the country. And let them which are in the midst of it depart out. And let not them that are in the countries flee therein too. For these be the days of vengeance, that all things which are written may be fulfilled. But woe to them that are with child, and to them that give suck in those days. For there should be great distress in the land, and wrath upon this people. And this people is talking about you Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, man. All right? Scriptures say they should be like madman sparing none, but still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. Okay, 2 Ezra 16:68. For behold, the burning wrath of a great multitude is kindled over you, and they should take away a certain of you and feed you, being idle with things offered to idols. That's the chip in the FEMA camps, man. And they that consider to them should be had in derision and reproach and trodden under foot. For there should be in every place and in the next cities a great insurrection upon those that fear the Lord. See, in the form of these troops, man. Great insurrection. And they should be like madman, sparing none. I mean, they're going to go door to door, putting you jakes down. We ain't got to that point yet. But still spoiling and destroying those that fear the Lord. It says, for they should waste and take away their goods and cast them out of their houses. Then shall they be known who are my chosen, and they should be tried as gold in the fire. All right? So, anyway, with that, all praises and glory and honor that's due to Yahweh Bashim Yahushai. Lord's way you edified. Until the next lesson. Shalom.